Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Please don't forget to subscribe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Below the Whistle Sports. I'm your host, Wayne Holloway, and thank you once again for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share. And like always, if you want to see something on the show or you have a bright idea that you want to see us implement on the show, drop them in those comments below or hit us on any one of our social media outlets. Holler at us. We holler back. Oh, man. Hey, we missed Wednesday, but we got a fun-packed show for you here tonight. But first, let me introduce you to my co-host, and he goes by the name of Mr. Patrick Nagel. How you doing, sir?
I am fantastic. How are you, sir? And belated happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Of course.
The wife took care of me. She beat me up a little bit, but she took care of me.
There you go. Well, I mean, it's the thought that counts. So
hey, always. She always does it right. Always.
That's awesome. That's great to hear, man.
Man, big things. But how was your week?
My week was good, man. We, watched some World Cup, watched some UFC, some great fights, some disappointing fights. We'll get into that a little bit later. This is kind of like the dark hour of sports right now, with no sports going on right now. So, as we're in the All-Star break of baseball, but good news is right around the corner. But everything's good here, and
it's coming.
The local team here, not my team, but the Seattle Seahawks sold for a record $9.6 billion.
I guess they were waiting on that Super Bowl. They're like, this is the right time to sell.
The business of the NFL is good business. So good news for the widow of Paul Allen and the Allen family to sell the team for that incredible amount of money. But no, life is good, man. Can't complain.
Yeah, those kids and those kids and those kids not gonna have to worry about a thing.
They are set. They are set.
Yes. So you want to go first? You want to hit the World Cup?
Let's talk about it. Down to the final four. Yeah. So we got France versus Spain on one side of the bracket, and we got England and Argentina on the other side of the bracket. Some great games
from Jump Street. I was with England.
Yep. Well, I think the England train runs out. I think Argentina, they just seem to be able to find a way to win no matter what. Down 2-0 and they come storming back to win 3-2. I don't know. They look pretty solid. They look pretty deep, and I think I think the game, England-Norway game, it seemed to really take a lot out of both teams. I'm not sure there's enough time in between for them to get their legs back fully. Wow. That game went extra time, was hot, was humid. It was rough. It was physical. I don't know if England's going to be able to kind of answer the bell at their top.
Put a 20-pound backpack on their backs. My goodness. Hey, look, Argentina, that's the hot team. As the song says, they're hot. But come on now.
Defending champs. Defending champs. I don't, as a wise man once told me many, many years ago, to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. So here's their chance.
There it is.
But I would put my my money behind Argentina. On the other side, you got France and Spain. I just think Mbappe and France has too much for Spain. So I'm looking at a France-Argentina finals.
Okay. All right. Well, me myself, I'm just happy to have picked England and them make it this far.
There you go.
It is what it is, and hey, it's going to be exciting. It's been exciting. Like I said, I wasn't really a soccer person, and the last 3 years is just bringing it home. It's just bringing it home, and I love talking soccer now. It's something else. I've been missing out on this form of sport for how long? Because they called it football. I was caught in my own ways. That was it.
I think the one thing that the World Cup always reminds me of, and it's not always, I mean, the games have been great, and I'm not trying to take anything away from that, but it's just the passion in the nations that come to support their team. When you watch Norway doing their row, banging the drum, or all the other things that the other teams do, and the Dutch with their parade, and they're bringing over the double-decker bus, and you're watching 50,000 people doing the parade, in these host cities. It just reminds you of like the good in sports, right? The getting together and with people that root for your team, and you're excited to watch them play and support your nation and hopefully win. So for me, it's just always a constant reminder of the passion that other nations have for soccer. And I just feel like for the U.S. to really, really get serious about it, they needed a result like they had this year. This year's team really, it went far. And obviously, we would have loved to see them go a little further, but they went far. And I'm excited to see what they do in the future.
Yes, it just hits different when it's these nations going against each other. I mean, the USA and Mexico. I was pulling for both of them. It was crazy.
I was pulling for Canada too, right? I wanted all three host nations to advance. They all made it to the final 16. That's pretty impressive. Unfortunately, none of them advanced to the Elite Eight. But again, games were exciting. There was passion in the stands all over the United States, Mexico, and Canada for the World Cup. So I hope this carries over to the Women's World Cup, and we can have that same kind of level of commitment and passion. Our ladies usually are the front runner, and hopefully that continues. Right. And at the end of the day, in 4 years, I'd love to see the U.S. get into the Elite Eight conversation and into the Final Four. I just think that would be amazing. And in my lifetime, I'd love to see the U.S. Win the World Cup. I think that'd be, really, really something special.
It was a great accomplishment for all the teams to make it as far as they did. It was incredibly rough road for everyone. It was no pushover by far, and all the games were exciting. It really stood up. It really stood up. It's a great ordeal. I love it. I love it. And the USA, the passion that you've seen on those people's faces that was on our team, and the disappointment in their face when they seen the handwriting on the wall. I believe you're going to get a whole nother team, and we're going to make a run for it next season.
Yeah, we went from just happy to be there to we expect to win now.
Exactly.
And that's a big deal in any sport, right? Hey, we're just happy to make the playoffs. We're just happy to make the round of 16. We're just happy, whatever. But to go from that to, no, I'm not happy to be here. I expect to win. That's the next piece in the evolution of making a great program. It's no longer okay just to be there. No, we expect to win, and we're going to do what's necessary to take it to the next level, which is to compete for the championship. And I'm hopeful that we continue to make those strides in here in the United States.
I believe we will. So I know you picked Argentina on one side.
Yep.
Who's going to play them?
France,
Argentina.
Yeah. I think Mbappe in France, they're really, really deep. And I don't know that Spain has enough bullets in the gun to keep up with France. I think France is really, really good. And they seem to have coasted pretty well throughout the tournament.
And this is Messi's last year, right?
I would assume so. He's 39 years old. I mean, now I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, he still looks pretty good to me, but
it looks like he hasn't lost any gears to me for us to be calling his last season.
But here's what's amazing. His 6th World Cup as a player. 6.
Wow.
He's been at the top of the game for that long. I mean, that's 24 years for those counting at home. So
Oh man, and a lot of work because this
Yeah, man, he's
your
amazing.
cardio has to be through the roof in this game.
His soccer IQ is next level. If you watch him play, he's not running all over the place. He just kind of always pops up in the right place and makes the right play. And
Kind of
that's just
reminds me of Panamalu. On every play, he's in the play.
yeah,
He's
exactly.
always in the right position.
Exactly.
Oh man, I I'm still sticking with England, and I'm gonna stay with France. And that's where I'm gonna do it. I know Messi, I know his team, hot hands, but I'm still sticking with England. I was with them from the beginning, and we're gonna go down with the ship if that's what's got to happen. Go down with the ship.
Get ready because you're going down.
Oh, let's switch gears. Let's jump into this. Woo! I don't know if you guys watched it. This UFC that just passed.
Let's talk about it.
My.
First and foremost, International Fight Week in Las Vegas. If you're a fan of the UFC, if you ever get the opportunity to go to International Fight Week, I highly recommend it. It's an amazing time. I've had the good fortune to go multiple times. It is a lot of fun. There's a lot of events for the fans.
Right.
You get to meet a lot of different cool people from all over the globe, and lots of fighters from all over the globe, from yesteryear and present time. So I'm not a paid UFC spokesman, but if you get the opportunity, I would highly recommend it.
You kind of sounded like our other co-host, Mr. Stephen Rubin, when it comes to LeBron James. But
easy. UFC is an organization. I'm an NFL fan. I don't change my allegiance to my team just because a player changes off my team onto a different team.
Well, Steve has about 50 jerseys.
He's waiting. Like I said the other day, he's just sitting there like the kid on draft night. He's just waiting to hear LeBron watch 2026, where LeBron's going to go, so he can strap on his new jersey and hat and be ready to roll. So
hey, and he's gonna be real with it when he's LeBron's on whatever team he's on. Steve's gonna be right there with him in the car.
Well, hey, good for him on that. That's not my style, but all good. Different strokes for different folks.
There it is.
Back to the UFC, a really, really great card from head to almost the toe. There was a lot of really great fights on the undercard. A couple I want to shout out: Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. Gable Stevenson made his UFC debut, knocked out his opponent in the first round, and that was a back and forth heavyweight scrap where two dudes were just throwing hay, not really paying much attention to anything other than we're just going to throw punches. There was a couple other fights of note. The women's fight was pretty good between Tracy Cortez and her opponent Ping Yang. And Robert Whitaker, he got himself he made his first debut at 205. He's the former 170 champ. He made a debut 205. He looked in trouble early and then fought his way back and got the win in that fight. So the undercard had some good fights, entertaining fights, which is what you want on an undercard. A stacked card, 10 fights on the undercard. So lots of good action. The main card started with an incredible scrap between King Green and Terrence McKinney. Terrence McKinney had King Green in all kinds of trouble for about 4 minutes and 59 seconds of the first round, and then King Green got him with a liver kick and put him down, and that was the end of that. So King Green comes from surviving the first round to getting a first round TKO via liver kick. So pretty excited.
He had it the whole time, which was crazy to me. Crazy.
That's King Green. He's always going to get on the mic. He's going to say some crazy stuff. He's going to say, I needed to warm up and yada, yada, yada. He was getting his butt whipped. His eye was pretty busted open. He was going to be lucky to get out of that first round, and he was, and he did. And, tip of the cap to him. Good job.
McKinney just looked like he needed to catch his breath. McKinney also looked like he didn't even have a fight that day. That's the only thing about UFC that kind of annoys me. But it's they two warriors in the ring, and things can happen.
He got knocked out. I mean, he got knocked out via liver kick, and he just did a horrible job of hiding it for 10 more seconds, and he would have got out of that first round, and he would have had time to recover. But he couldn't do it, and he didn't do it. The next fight up on the main card was between.
It didn't even look like it hit dead.
It didn't hit flush, but I think it was just King Green was hitting him pretty consistently with the front push kick. And I felt that was paying dividends for him. And I think, that last blow just did enough to really kind of turn off, the things. And liver kicks are tough, man. If you want, I can come and demonstrate on you. You just put your hands up and
because if you made somebody that was totally demolishing somebody the whole fight, lose the fight, I don't ever want to experience that kick.
It's no fun.
because my goodness, he put on a clinic.
Green.
I don't even know how he was still in the fight. His eyes were closing to me when he was making his speech.
His eye was swollen up. It was pretty bad. Bobby Green, King Green, he's been doing it a long time. He's 43 years old, and he just continues to keep fighting. I mean, he keeps winning. I think this is his 5th win in a row. So he's performing at that age. So good for him.
Is he really?
Yes.
Hey, he spit the water in the air, but
if you watch enough of him fight, what you quickly notice is he's a tough matchup, not in the sense that he hits hard or that he's some great technical fighter. He is technical, and I don't want to take that away from him, but he's very unorthodox, and he fights a very unorthodox style. His hands are low. He has a lot of interesting movement. It's very hard to replicate him in the gym. So he's just a tough fight to match up. And if you get yourself in trouble against him, in a 3-round fight, it's tough to make an adjustment that fast, to understand what he's doing, to understand his timing and his rhythm, and to be able to counter that. He's a very difficult matchup for a lot of people. He's not traditional at all. And I think that's what has given him his longevity into these later years in his fighting career. He doesn't take a lot of damage. He did on Saturday.
Tremendous.
The next fight up was between Kavanaugh.
So I'm gonna take your word with it, because this is what you do. So hey, from what I saw, he won. But
he won.
That's like,
hey man, if you can't get up off the ground, you can't fight. So and Terrence McKinney didn't get up. So
this is true.
He had to get up. He had to keep moving. He had to protect himself. He needed to do it for 10 seconds, and he couldn't do it.
This is true.
Like I said, the next fight on the card was Kavanaugh and Royval. Great fight, winner of fight of the night. With Brandon Royval kind of pulling the upset there and getting a submission victory. Good for him. A guy that's fought everyone in the weight class. I was really happy to see him get the victory. He's going to put himself in the conversation for title contention here soon.
I love this fight. This fight was a
barn burner, and these dudes were scrapping. I mean, these dudes were putting it on each other, and they were really getting after it. And they
understood the assignment. Let's go.
And and the sub came with about a minute left in the fight in the 3rd round. So there was about 2.5 rounds of just beating the crap out of each other, and then pulling that.
Roval, if that's how you pronounce his name, he hit the button. He hit the button, and he bing bong, and I saw his eyes roll back. I was like, uh-oh.
That's all she wrote. Next fight up, Corey Sandhagen against Mario Bautista. Bautista gets the unanimous decision, the only decision on the main card. Right. This was a good fight. It wasn't a great fight. It was a technical sound fight where Mario really looked to cut off the ring and really made it difficult for Corey, and Corey just looked a bit slow and wasn't able to get his punches off, and it really just kind of showed that Corey really couldn't get himself into a position to be successful in the fight, to find any consistent traction in the fight. So really good fight by Mario, tip of the cap there to him. My favorite fight of the night is this fight right here. Was the co-main event between Paddy Pimblett and Benoit Saint Denis. And Saint Denis is a very, very big man for the weight class. He's really good knockout artist. Paddy Pimblett's coming off a loss. And what's that?
I said, is he? Because he didn't look like he knew what he was doing. He really didn't look like he was ready for this fight. And this was.
Here's what happened. Here's what happened, Wayne.
Okay,
when you go up in competition,
right,
and you start to fight guys that are technically maybe better than you, or at least give you a little bit of fear, you abandon your game plan and you try to do something that you're not great at.
Yeah.
If you've watched Saint Denis fight, he stands and bangs with people. But what did he do against Paddy? He ran across the ring and he tried to take him down, got himself in a bad position, and Paddy Pimblett slapped on a Darce choke that was really, really technically difficult, and he held it tight and rolled with it and got the submission and actually choked him completely unconscious.
He looked like an alligator the way he was rolling.
Yep. Well, that's called the alligator roll. That's what that's called.
Hey.
And and he got the submission 52 seconds into the first round, and Paddy Pimblett took zero damage in this fight and really put himself on a different level. He was coming off a loss to Justin Gaethje in what was absolutely a war. Two dudes standing and banging, and both dudes were busted up, and and I think Paddy came back from that loss and really kind of cemented himself as the face of the organization, and really stole the spotlight from the Conor and Max Holloway fight, which comes next. Of course, the outcome of that fight even made it more glaring that Paddy stole the spotlight. And all I can say is, Paddy's a baddie, and he got it done.
They talked the smack and they walked the walk. Amen. Paddy, I'm a fan of Paddy now, because I like that. I like when you can talk and you can walk the walk. That guy. It looked like it was a setup, how easy that was for him. It looked like he came in like, here, you got my head. Am I in far enough? And then the choke was just insane. Paddy, I call him Lucky Charms. That's what I call him.
Well, he's English, not Irish, but
the voice speaks for itself.
Well, he's from Liverpool. So excellent fight for Paddy, obviously. And what you saw from Saint Denis is, like I said, you see someone who goes up in competition and who, is a little concerned and wants to lay on top of somebody instead of doing what you're successful at, which is standing and banging. And he changed his style, and it cost him. I'm not saying that Saint Denis doesn't know jiu-jitsu or isn't good at jiu-jitsu. That's not what I'm saying. But Paddy's jiu-jitsu is at a far different level than his, and it showed in living color for all the world to see on Saturday night.
Wow!
And that, my man, brings us to the main event. The main event.
Let me stop you. Paddy fight was the main event. Now, whatever you're about to bring up now, I'm just gonna be quiet. You go ahead, because hey.
It should have been the main event. The original Max Holloway fight 13 years ago against Conor McGregor was a great fight. It was 13 years ago, but it was a great fight. Amazing fight. Two dudes just really kind of starting to figure out how to win back in those days, and they really went at it. Conor's coming back after a 5-year layoff and a broken fib. And doing lots of other stuff outside the octagon, including fighting Money Floyd Mayweather and starring in Roadhouse and selling Proper 12 whiskey and making himself a billionaire. And he rededicated himself to training, wanted to get back to fighting, lived in the gym for 3 straight months in a janitorial closet to get himself ready for this fight. Unfortunately, the first move of the fight, he throws a crazy wild roundhouse kick, lands awkwardly on his right knee, and blows out his ACL, and the fight is over. It is a good
story, but I saw him climb in the ring, Now, if my eyes are deceiving me, it looked like he was hurt before he climbed in the ring, Patrick. He looked like he was wincing before he climbed in the ring. It looked like he was a little ginger on that leg already. Did he get paid?
Of course he got paid. He showed up on weight.
Hey, and there it is right there. I'm a fan of Conor and all the stuff that he's done in the past, but time waits for nobody, and we all get old. We have to accept it at sometimes, and his legacy is solidified. Let's not taint it with talking about a part 3. Now I can respect the part 3 if it's not all this. If he just wants to get in there and they put up some money and they go fight. But this big hoopla for what we got robbed, Patrick. We got robbed.
We did get robbed. I don't agree that he was injured prior. There's a lot of testing that goes on prior to you getting medical clearance to fight in the UFC on fight week, including x-rays, MRIs. I think it would have been hard to hide that. I looked at his I saw the clip that you're talking about when he was trying to get his shoe off. Now go film yourself trying to kick your shoe off barefoot and see how you look. I saw a lot of video of him backstage before the fight, throwing that kick, warming up, kicking the heavy bag.
I did too.
I don't know. I just don't think that you can get away with it. There's a lot of scrutiny on the UFC right now because of some allegations of some fighters taking money and taking a dive about 6-7 months ago. Nothing's been proven. But the FBI is paying real close attention. The Gaming Commission in Las Vegas is super stringent. They're paying very close attention. Not saying it couldn't have happened. I'm just saying it would have been hard to get it to hide it. The footage of him warming up backstage, kicking off of that leg and doing the things that he was doing, it looked to me like someone who was healthy. You can't throw that number of kicks, nor would you in the back warming up if you knew you were injured. You wouldn't be doing that. You wouldn't waste whatever gas in the tank you have on that joint in the back, kicking the bag on high kicks. You'd shadow box or do something else to get yourself loose.
Well, like I say,
it's just a freak accident.
Authority in this realm, and I trust your opinion.
I appreciate that.
But let me move off of that. And let me move back to old age comes for us all.
For sure.
And when you have a heart of a lion like McGregor, it's hard to set it down. He in mind and in his heart, he's going to destroy in that fight. He's going to kick some butt. But the body is just not with him right anymore.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said too that it doesn't get talked about a lot in combat sports, boxing included, right? There's age, your calendar age, and then there's your ring age, right? If you go in and and you are involved in a lot of scraps, a lot of taking a lot of damage, a lot of big fights that go the distance and whatnot. Your ring age is way more than your age. And I think that applies to Conor. You look at something like Nate or Nick Diaz, right? The Diaz brothers are legendary. They stand in there, they scrap, they never give up, they keep fighting, but they're also take a tremendous amount of damage. And that's why when you watch them fight now, they're not quite as looking as great. They're not that old, in terms of like age, but their ring age and their damage they've received in their careers makes it very difficult. If you look back into old UFC, for those old UFC fans out there, when you look at a guy like Chuck Liddell, who was in his heyday, knocking fools out, and then when he started to get knocked out, every time you get knocked out, it gets a little easier to knock you out. And before too long, if you blew in his general direction, he was going to fall down and get knocked out, which broke my heart because he was my favorite fighter. So it's just the reality of the world. To your point, Father Time waits for no one, and it's a shame to see it on the big stage like that. It would have been better for all of us if it would have happened in training camp, and we never got to this point. But unfortunately, Max also deserved better. Max Holloway, great fighter. He deserved the opportunity to even the score with Connor from 13 years ago in a real fight. It didn't happen. Max gets the win via TKO.
Bittersweet.
It's a shame that's how that has to go down, but that is the rules. But Connor's was the biggest draw in the sport. And to circle back to what I said earlier, I think Patty has now become the biggest draw in the sport. And I think that Patty will no longer fight in anything other than a main event for the next 5 years. And I think that as long as Patty can keep winning and keep entertaining us and keep the fans happy, he becomes the top guy on the food chain in terms of the face of the franchise, because it was Connor, but Connor's out of the way. I'm not sure that Connor ever fights again.
I don't think he should fight again.
I don't think he should either. But I mean, even under the best of circumstances, he's a year away. I mean, he's got to go get surgery. He's got to go through rehab, and then he's got to go through training. And I'm not sure he's hungry enough, nor has the desire, nor has the body willing enough to do that. He's made plenty of money. His life he's pretty much set for life. I just don't know if pride and ego is enough to carry you over the finish line in an environment where, you've broken one leg, the tib fib, in a fight. That was a, freak, horrible accident. And now you blow out your ACL in another fight. And I'm just not sure that, at some point, hey, the gods have got to be telling me something, and maybe it's time to hang it up.
It is what it is. I think pride is what got him back in the ring, wanting to give it another try, because when you're set for life already, and you're at a certain age, I think that man that gene that we have, that competitive gene that makes you think that you can still do things that you did when you were in your 20s. It kind of affects the brain, and you're set for life. Why take the chance of getting a hit that could change your life forever? Why take the chance of even putting your body through that stress? It's a young man's sport. Let it be. You are a great. You will go down as a great. Don't taint your legacy. Keep it the way it is, and let us all say what could have been, what could be, and move on. Hey, Connor, hey, I take my hat off to you for all the stuff that you did and all the years that you brought us. But let's lay this to the wayside. And the thing about Patty, he is the new face, and Holloway and Patty are my favorite right now. Holloway got it because Holloway could have punished him just because. And this is when I talk about UFC. Real fighters do the things that Holloway did. You don't punish somebody when you know they can't defend themselves. And I've been really, really vocal about this when it comes to UFC and fighters. When you knock somebody out and you see their eyes roll in the back of their head, and then they jump on top of them and proceed to punish them when they can't even defend themselves. Oh, that makes my blood boil right there. But
well, in this particular instance, what you're alluding to, for those who didn't see it, is Max saw that Connor was injured, knew he couldn't move his leg, and kept turning to the referee and saying, "He's hurt. Call the fight." And he kept saying, "Hey, he can't fight. Stop the fight."
And the lion on the ground is like, "No, yeah. come on."
Yeah, Connor was like, I can go. And Max is like, "You can't. Your leg is done. You can't move your leg." So no. It sucks that such a great card ended on such a bad note, but it was a really, really entertaining card, and I was very happy to see the fights live up to the billing on International Fight Week.
I think it would have put a staple in it was the way Patty submitted his opponent right before that, less than a minute, Patty submitted him, and then we get
that. You get that.
Hey, that's what made me put like, wait a minute.
Yeah, like I barely had time to put down my drink of water, and it was like, what? It's over? What happened? But it was.
I think I went to get some ice,
over.
and was like, what happened? What? They look fine. They look fine. Then I saw the replay, seeing him keep
when he went to lift his leg up, and he immediately jerked down. I'm like, oh no, it's done. He can't lift his leg up.
You know why I know that feeling?
Because you had that.
That's that old man twinge when you walk in. You're like, oh, wait a minute, I stepped down wrong. He had the same look on his face that I have when you make that step, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, let me get your parents about me.
How old are you?
Hey, I just had a birthday.
How old do you think Connor is?
I don't know. How old is Connor?
36.
Well, man, let me rethink everything I just said.
How old do you think Max Holloway is?
How old is Max Holloway?
35.
Wow.
Both of those dudes are not old, but they are ring old.
Wow. A lot of wear and tear on the body.
They've been through some wars.
Well, let me explain that. Regular walking wears your body down. Now, these are top tier athletes. They run miles. Just the running, not the fighting by itself, puts wear and tear on your body. And let alone the kicking, jumping off one foot for years and years and years and years. Now, to us, he said 35, but when you look at the wear and tear, if you go to a doctor's office and they judge all your joints and stuff, you gotta have a 67-year-old body.
72.
There it is. There it is. When I played football and I had a neck injury, and they measured the cartilage in my neck and told me that I had the cartilage of a 65-year-old person, and I didn't even play in college. I have the cartilage of a 65-year-old person, and I'm not banging on every play like these guys anymore. Didn't make it to that level. Woo wee!
It's crazy, man.
It speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. Now, like I said, that heart's still a lion, but that body just hit different. And Conor McGregor's check engine light came on.
Yep.
And there it is, the warning light.
It's funny you said that, because his quote on Twitter or X was, "I blew my head gasket." So
there it is.
So
there it is.
He also claims he's going to be back, but I as much as the fan in me wants to see it, the compassionate human in me says, I'm with you. Let's call it a career, and let's hang it up, and let's not put your body through any more wear and tear that you don't.
At least the sponsor is going to have to put some expectations on it. Like, look, if that happens, we're not paying you.
Yeah,
something.
I'm not sure the UFC will book him another fight. Anyways, he only has one fight left on his contract. I wouldn't be surprised to see the UFC even release him from his contract, and give him that fight back. If he wants to go fight elsewhere,
he's a huge draw. He's a huge draw.
Fine. But
that's just like Mayweather, my favorite boxer. He's past his time. He went out undefeated. Everybody wants to see him lose. They'll give him another fight. So they'll give McGregor another fight, because
I don't think they will.
Names.
I don't think they will. Dana's pretty good about that. I don't think they'll give him another fight.
Hey, there's a guy named Jake Paul that puts on these showcases that they call fights. When his name is on the bill, people are gonna come.
But the difference between Jake Paul and the UFC is that Jake Paul had to create his own organization to get his name on the bill, because none of the real organizations would take him serious. And I know Dana enough to know that he's not going. I don't think he books Conor McGregor again, unless he has proof that Connor is in tip-top shape, looks amazing, and can defend himself and move and be ready to fight. But we're talking about a bunch of what ifs, and we're talking about something that's a year out at the earliest. I mean, he's not, he still has to have surgery. Who knows what they're going to find when they get in there.
So did they already do an MRI and know what it is?
He tore an ACL.
Wow.
So I don't, like I said, we're speculating about something that's a year to 18 months from even being a conversation.
Future.
Yeah. So
hey, it is what it is.
It is. So
got
into a career
that somebody at that level, it's sad when that happens to them. I feel for them.
I do too,
because we all wanted to see it.
Well, yes, and you don't want to see, and that's the hardest part about combat sports, be it boxing, be it MMA. So rarely do you get to see your guy, your main guy that you're a fan of, go out on a W. In almost every instance, they go out on a loss. It's very rare a Mayweather, and that's what makes his reign impressive. Is love or hate him, the fact that he went out on a loss and on a win. I'm sorry, and he maintained his undefeated record, and he he went out when he was ready to go out and maintained it, and that's that. And like I said, love or hate him, you have to tip the cap to that. And his fans got to see him never go out on a loss, but a lot of other fighters, they just don't get that opportunity, and it sucks because you want to see your dude always be your dude and be the guy that you remember him as, and it just doesn't happen as often as it. They don't go out on a win nearly as often as they go out on a loss, and that's just
so true. So true.
Because Father Time is undefeated.
Oh man. Sad. But before we get up out of here, any NFL news that you wanted to go over?
Yeah, man, just a couple quick notes. First off, a lot of rumblings in the Los Angeles area that Aaron Donald might be coming out of retirement to line up next to Myles Garrett.
We saw some videotape of him on the field. Looked like he was trying to see if he still got it.
He was going through the paces and going through the workout with the coaches. Kind of looked like a tryout to me, to see if he still got it. So that's an interesting story to keep an eye on here in the next couple of weeks. Because even if Aaron Donald is 75% of Aaron Donald, I mean, putting him next to Myles Garrett, that's going to make the Rams front line very, very difficult to deal with.
Even if they bring him in on certain plays.
Yeah, they don't have to play him
boost every time he's in there.
He doesn't have to be a 3-down player. He could come in and be a rotational piece. If that happens, oh boy, that's going to be something special. Another thing, training camp opens for both our Carolina Panthers and
yes, sir.
And the Arizona Cardinals, as they're going to go head-to-head in the first preseason game, so they get to start a week earlier than everybody else. Rookies report on the 21st. So we are literally 8 days away from training camp starting in two cities in the NFL, and then a week away from the rest of the NFL getting going. So we are right around the corner, ladies and gentlemen, from training camp and getting this football thing back up and running, which is pretty exciting for
NFL.
Yeah, baby.
Whistle people, are you ready? Yes.
And with that means college football is coming in August. So we are we are right there. And not NFL related, but sports world related. We are still on LeBron Watch 2026 to see where LeBron will play. Where
is Steven Rubain? Where is he at? We know that he got something to say about LeBron James.
We know
where is his number one guy at?
And all I can say is
on Wednesday, Steve.
I think by Wednesday we will know where LeBron James is going to play, because there is no other sports news happening right now. And so if LeBron James does what LeBron James does, and he's going to dominate the headlines, there's not anything to knock him off the pedestal. So King James, I will bet you that the announcement is coming out probably tomorrow or Wednesday. So, just a guess. I don't have any inside information, but LeBron loves to dominate the headlines, and I just feel like without any other sports happening right now, he would be the story in all of sports. So I feel like that's probably coming any minute. So excited to find out. It's no secret. I'd love for him to come to my team, Golden State Warriors, but my heart won't be broken if he doesn't. I'm just curious to see it. Because if for nothing else, I would love to hear everyone bitch and complain and whine about the Warriors having all these players on their team and all this other crap, because I just love to hear people complain.
I think it's the best setup for him, like I said in the past, for him to go to the board and then kick out to Steph, and Steph just drain him wide open. I think it's a dream come true if that were to happen.
Yep.
But if that were to happen, I want to tell all LeBron sexuals right now, LeBron, even if he goes to Golden State and wins a championship, even if, that still wouldn't put him in GOAT status. I just want to put that out immediately ahead of time, because every time he does something, he's like, is he now? No. If you want to know what it looks like to be the GOAT in basketball, look at Michael Jordan, look at his accomplishments, and that has been the staple of what a GOAT is and what it means.
Yeah,
very, very simple. Very simple.
If it were to happen, obviously we're talking a lot of hypotheticals here, but if it were to happen, you would have to make a similar argument that Steph is equal to being involved in the GOAT conversation, because he and LeBron would have the same amount of championships. He and LeBron would have a lot of similar statistics. So, and so that would, and I know that will make people's heads explode, because I'm
surprised Steve ain't called and he hasn't drove up, crashed on the curb and ran into the studio, because you have said some stuff I know that will make Steve.
But it's true though, right? I mean, listen, the fact that Steph could end his career with the same amount of championships as LeBron, doesn't that remove LeBron's claim to GOAT status? Well, I mean, he's not even the most dominant player in his era.
He's not. And he has never been in that status. People have moved the goalposts appropriately,
of course,
for him to be in that status.
Yeah, just like we talked about when Steve wouldn't really let me talk. If you want to, let's remove it from basketball and let's talk about football. Okay. And let's talk about running backs.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about who the greatest running back of all time is,
right?
Like, there will be people that will defer to Emmitt Smith, because Emmitt Smith has the most rushing yards of any running back in NFL history.
True.
I am not in that camp.
Right.
He was dominant and he was a great player behind a phenomenal offensive line, where multiple Hall of Famers on that offensive line, multiple All Pros on that offensive line. The guy whose record he broke was Walter Payton, who played on some awful Chicago Bear teams and yet still put up those types of numbers. Mm-hmm. So I would argue that Walter Payton, in my book, would get billing over Emmitt Smith. Above Walter, I think you have to put Jim Brown. Only played 6 seasons, only played 12 game season during those 6 seasons. So, and he was the record holder before that. And then you could start sliding in some other guys. Emmitt Smith would quickly fall down the list for me. He might even not, and quite honestly, he's not even in my top 5. And it's not a knock on him. It's just there's other guys that I feel were better running backs that didn't have the longevity because of injury or playing behind that offensive line that put up phenomenal statistics and on bad teams or only played a handful of games or where and I think that's where you go back to your argument about LeBron is you want to compare him to Michael, but you can't compare him to Michael.
There's no comparison.
Because Michael did things that still only Michael did.
Yes.
And here we are all these years later, and we're saying, oh, LeBron, Kobe, listen, and they're great players.
We're not saying it. The LeBronites, the LeBron sexuals are saying it. I understand. But LeBron is the great player in this era.
How many of those people clamoring that LeBron is the greatest player of all time actually were alive and coherent enough to watch Michael play?
They don't even know what the greatest means, because I'll always go off of this. Before LeBron came in the league in 2007, Jordan was here in 2006. Let's go to 2006 when everybody said that Jordan was the GOAT. Let's go there and see what the stats were. He didn't hold the most points or anything. So when LeBron got that stuff and they tried to add that to the equation, that was moving the goalpost because that's what we weren't looking at. That what we looked at was 2 3-peats. What we looked at was the only player to ever be the MVP in the season and in the finals,
and be first team all league defense,
exactly,
and an all-star,
and win a championship all in the same season. No one has done that ever.
Well, it's happened 4 times.
What Michael Jordan's the only person that had done all the different ones by himself.
That's correct. It's happened 4 times.
Oh,
and Michael Jordan has done it 4 times.
Exactly. And once you have that, you put the exclamation point on it and you drop the mic. There's nothing else to talk about. It is what it is. And guess what? I will say it till I'm blue in the face. I am not a Michael Jordan fan.
He's also 6-0 in the finals.
Common sense. These are all stuff by himself.
Yeah.
You can't compare somebody that hasn't even done what this person has done and say now he's equal because he has the most points when that wasn't even on the board. That was the only thing I was pointing out, that how they moved the goalposts, the stuff that we weren't even looking at.
And I agree with you. And I think part of the thing there is, and again, like LeBron's amazing. And one of the things that makes LeBron amazing is his longevity, and that he's kept himself healthy. He's been able to play this many seasons, and not just play, but actually, play at a high level and score and all those things. And I don't take anything away from that except for this one thing. And that is the medical science was not where it is today when Michael played. When Michael played, if we had the medical science that we have now,
oh my goodness,
would Michael have played 5-6 more seasons? Would Michael had not have taken a break and gone and played baseball because he was burned out and all those things, and of course his father getting murdered, and which really kind of threw him off, and all those sad things that happened. But I mean, and again, now we're back in the what if categories, but that's why that goes all the way back to something I said a couple of weeks ago, which is that's why having this conversation is so hard, because you can't compare eras because there's different things that are different, and you can't.
That first. Yeah, I said that first before I pointed out the obvious, but the gym floors are made different. These guys played in shoes that didn't even support the game that they're playing.
Well, the way they traveled, the study on sleep, the study on nutrition, those guys were drinking and smoking in the locker room. You ever seen a picture of Bill Laimbeer in the locker room? I mean, he's having a beer at halftime and smoking a cig. I mean, it's just different, and it doesn't make anybody better or worse. It's just different, and that's why I hate the GOAT conversation, because you're going to have a guy like Steve who won't hear any disrespect to his guy, even when you make a counter argument.
Nobody's disrespecting his guy. That's the only thing he makes it seem like it, but I have the utmost respect for LeBron James.
It's just a counter argument. And I love LeBron. Like, as a player, I love to hate him, but when he's not on my team, but that's because he's not on my team, and it comes down to your opinion. And I just think people get so wrapped up in it, they can't hear any counterpoint to, like, okay, interesting. Like, for instance, I'm a Carolina Panther fan, and I think Bryce Young has gotten a raw deal from a lot of different people.
Right.
And, but people don't want to hear any type of facts, right? For instance, do you know who the most accurate passer on deep balls was last season in the NFL?
Who was it?
It's Bryce Young.
Oh my goodness.
Like, but yet everybody wants to say he's a bust and he sucks and he's this and he's that, he's too small, he's this, it's like, but the stats don't bear that out. Like, listen, if you take the names off, you say, hey, this guy throws the best deep ball in the NFL. Who is it? And you're going to list off a bunch of names. And a bunch of the so-called NFL experts, they're not going to name Bryce Young. They're going to name Matthew Stafford, and they're going to name Brock Purdy, and they're going to name Jared Goff and CJ Stroud and all this stuff. And can you imagine, by the way, if Bryce Young threw 4 interceptions and a half in a playoff game, how the media would be talking about him?
Oh my goodness.
But yet CJ Stroud gets a pass, right? Oh, he had a rough half.
Yeah.
If Bryce Young had that half, I mean, people would be, they'd be, pitchforks and, in the dark alleys of the NFL. Like,
and they were, and he didn't even do that, and they still were like that.
But it's like, come on, man. Like, listen, with not a great pass rush, we almost beat the Rams in the playoffs. And I hate to say almost, because we didn't, because you either do or you don't. But if we had any semblance of a pass rush, guess what would have happened? We would have won that game. And then everybody would have called it a fluke. The Rams had a bad day, blah, blah, blah. But yet
they will always have something when they don't like somebody, and that comes from within also.
And I'm
gonna say this here: Bryce Young this season is going to shock the NFL. My opinion.
Define shock. Define shock. Because
define shock.
Yeah, I'm curious. What
not only will Carolina win the division, Carolina will put a staple on football again, where we're not just a laughing stock when you get ready to play us. Carolina is going to be fit for battle, and we're going to raise hell this season. That's what I just feel from the upgrades that we have. Bryce Young with this deep ball. Now that we have Brazel, I feel as long as our protection holds up, the sky's the limits. We're going to
hear something different. I'm gonna throw something different out in Bryce Young's defense, right? And I know we're getting off on a tangent on Bryce Young, but
hey, it is what it is. When you get to Carolina fans,
let me throw something out different that people don't get. If the Panthers defense was better, Bryce wouldn't have to be throwing the ball as much and to try and go for it on 4th down, to try and come back and win all those games, because we wouldn't need to, because we would be like holding teams down instead of getting into a shootout in the back half of the game where you just got to rip it and fly. Even still, in those opportunities, he's phenomenal, right? He has the most comeback wins, in the NFL in the last couple of years. Again, let me say that again. Bryce Young has the most comeback wins in the NFL in the last couple of years. Again, another stat that he doesn't get credit for, because everybody would guess Patrick Mahomes, right? But it's Bryce Young, okay? But here's the thing. If we had a better defense, we wouldn't even have to be doing that, which means he doesn't have to throw the ball in the 4th quarter every play, which means, he doesn't have to take that punishment. He doesn't have to risk the interceptions. And even with all that, he still had a very successful season last season.
But Patrick, you watch the games, and you were able to see that, right?
For sure.
Why is it when I'm on these other podcasts and I'm arguing this point, and it's Carolina fans that I'm arguing with some of these times? Well, I won't even call it an argument, just having a discussion with, that they act like they could see the issue being other than Bryce Young.
For me, it's kind of a twofold thing. First off, we had a great quarterback in Cam Newton, and he took a lot of heat in the media for a lot of reasons that had nothing to do with his on-field abilities, right?
Exactly.
Like they didn't like the way he dressed. They didn't like the way he put the towel over his head. They didn't like the way he celebrated. They didn't like
It
the
was
way
always something.
he was flamboyant, blah, 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 right? Taking away from just how good of a player, I would say great of a player he was prior to his arm injury. With Bryce, I think people forget, he's not Cam Newton.
Exactly.
And B, he is a quiet guy in the media. He's never gonna like be the rah guy. He's never gonna get crazy. That's just not his demeanor. But yet you see some of his personality come out. And I think the national media is very, very quick to tear someone down. And if they're not out there doing what's up, Apple Pie Lord, if they're not out there lighting the world on fire or having the season that you think he should be having, right, then suddenly he's a bust. And I've heard you say many, many times on air and off that Bryce Young was not brought into a winning situation. And I agree with that. He was not. And it took time to build around him, and I feel like they have, and he's gotten better every year, including into last year. I think that this year, I really feel that he has the tools around him to continue on that ascension, and he will continue to improve, having stability with the team, with the coach. All that I think matters in young quarterbacks, especially guys transitioning out of college. All those things I say, and I also just feel, and I hate to be disrespectful to the Carolina Panther fan base in these forums, but they're just uneducated fans, and they want to talk shit, and excuse my language, and here's something that a lot of fans don't understand, and that is, when a quarterback throws an interception, it's automatically a bad throw. The quarterback made a bad read. The quarterback. About 75% of the time, guys, it's not the quarterback. It's the wide receiver didn't make the right read. The wide receiver didn't run the right route. The wide receiver didn't go where he was supposed to go. It's not always the quarterback made a bad throw. And that never gets put out, and because good quarterbacks don't throw their receivers under the bus. They don't go there and go, that wasn't my fault on an interception. They'll say things like we weren't on the same page, or, we got our wires crossed. But with that's code for that wasn't where he was supposed to be. I was expecting him to run it in, and he ran it out. And I threw to where he was going, and he went the other direction. Yeah. How many times do quarterbacks have to throw the ball before the receiver never turns around? These are the things that people don't understand about the game. And so they look at something, they see an interception, and then all of a sudden they start, hearing and believing all the things that the national media people are going to say about a guy. Let's not forget, after the rookie season, the Panthers screwed up. They should have taken C.J. Stroud, blah, 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 blah. After last season, who was the better quarterback after last year? It's Bryce Young. Bryce Young is the better quarterback.
Down. And once again, Bryce Young is going to shock the NFL this season.
I think Bryce Young throws for 4,000 yards this year.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Carolina Panthers are going to be relevant this season.
Yep.
This season. But I have to put the but, because our line has to hold up. Bryce Young has to be able to stand in there and be able to dish the ball to the spots he needs to get the ball to. He can't be running for his life like he did the first part of his career in Carolina.
And that's why they signed Rashawn Walker, and that's why they drafted Freeling in the first round, right? For that very purpose. You know, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'm sure we'll get into it on an episode of Panthers Corner coming soon.
Y'all watch out, Panthers Corner coming soon. We got a couple shows that we're going to release. We want y'all to
would not be surprised if Icky gets kicked into guard. Like, when he's healthy, Icky, if you look at Icky's run blocking grades, he's off the charts. Where he struggles is in pass blocking. If we go into if we can kick Icky into guard and put Freeling at left tackle, all of a sudden now look at how strong that left side of that line becomes.
Right.
When Icky's healthy. So I'm just telling you, I think that's a possibility for our team, and it wouldn't surprise me. And I think that would be the best thing that we could do. And suddenly, we have one of the best offensive lines in our conference, if not the NFL, because we're going to be good. And I really think underrated. The center we drafted, they're talking big stuff for him, and I just feel like we're scratching the surface on how good we can become. And I agree with you. It's not going to be shock the world to me, because I've seen the flashes at how good he can be. Yes. And I just feel like another year with Tet, another year with Jalen Coker, another year with maybe X can get himself, into a rhythm. And now bringing Brazel into the mix, creates a lot of problems for that defense. Big, tall, fast receivers at 3-4 different locations. Yes. How are you going to, you might be able to take one of those guys away. How are you going to take all 4 of those guys away?
Hey, this new season, I'm excited for it. And Leggett is our biggest question mark, but I think it's an exciting question mark because we know what he's capable of, and he knows he hasn't been on his mark. And the beautiful thing is Bryce Young and his put up or shut up year. And we're going to put up. We are going to put up. Apple Pie Lord, look out for that Panthers corner that's coming out. We got a couple of them going to drop. Want you to be to look out for it, and our fantasy football, we're going to have a fantasy football that we're going to open up for people to get into. Hey, it's going to be fun this season. I cannot wait. Apple Pie Lord said, ditto to that. The biggest hated of the Panthers are the Panther fan base themselves. Period. Hey, you got a mouthful there, Apple Pie Lord. A mouthful. But thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share. Tell a friend, tell another friend. Share it on your and so they can have the pleasure of watching. And we'll see y'all next Wednesday, 7. Stephen Rubain will be on next Wednesday.
I got to call a timeout.
Go ahead.
Apple Pie Lord, we will answer that question. We will answer your question on Panthers Corner. And I got to tell you, you will love my answer.
Hey, it's coming real soon, Apple Pie Lord. Thank you for always being there for us. And I look forward to answering the question. It's coming. Peace out, people. We'll see y'all Wednesday. Stephen Rubain will be in the house. We had a few phone technical difficulties, but everything will be ready for y'all Wednesday. Peace out.
Have a good night, everyone.